the age of 31, training, playing rugby, very fit, lots of water skiing. I had a pain, severe pain in my chest, so we called the doctor. This was in England. The doctor attended. He didn't think there was anything wrong. He thought I probably needed an aspirin. He didn't realize because I was fit. The pain was still very strong, so we traveled from Oxford. We headed to Croydon, and it was many hours later when we stopped at a hospital and they found out that I was having a heart attack. So the damage was, 7 hours later when they found out there was a heart attack. So the reason I had a quadruple bypass at the time, obviously the complications were there due to the weak heart. The heart had expanded because of the attack, so it was a lot bigger than a normal heart. And then I had to go backwards and forwards due to misbeat. So they put me on some medication to try and regulate it. And for years, I kept trying to stay fit as much as I can. But obviously the heart just could not cope.
It was a massive heart attack. And he was young, when I was young. So it really was something to have had to go through. And at the time, a lot of doctors didn't see that people at that age. It wasn't a thing. Now I think they're more open-minded. They understand it's hereditary and this happens. But yeah, it was an absolute shock to us. But I would say there was never a time that his health and his heart was not a consideration. And, we were married, we had kids, and it was something they grew up with. The fact that Daddy was sick.
I was in Dubai at the time, and again was playing sports. Had a pain in the chest again. Went to the hospital, and they had to operate. They had to put some stents. I had stents before. I had stents on 3 other occasions prior to this, and it was the doctor in Dubai who said, "You're going to need a heart. This heart is not doing very well." And at the time, there was Dr. Joe Malouf, who represented the Mayo. So I went to see him, and he's the one that, accepted and agreed that I needed a heart, and it started from there.
I met him for the first time in Dubai, and at that time he was referred to see me because he had been told that he may need a heart transplant. Now, the first time I saw him, he didn't look like somebody who needed a heart transplant.
His contribution to this was the greatest thing. That's ever happened to us. Had it not been for Joe being in the country, I don't know what we've done.
Somebody who had spent certainly most of his youth and a great part of his younger days very physically active. He was previously a rugby player and involved in all sorts of athletic activities, and clearly a very robust, healthy-looking guy. You wouldn't think that he had such bad heart failure if you met him even at that time. And so he was very compelling because his lifestyle had been reduced from one of being very active to being severely limited by heart failure and all the issues which go with heart failure.
This was about 9-10 years ago, so I was 53. 53, yeah. I had had attacks in between. We were on holiday in Greece when I had a heart attack on a boat, and I was airlifted. So I'd had this progression of, deterioration of the muscle.
So I put him through several tests, and then it became evident that he needs a heart transplant.
He was obviously very traumatized by what had happened to him and his inability to do all the things he was used to doing. But having said that, he's a naturally very optimistic individual. And so I think when he first heard the news in Dubai from one of my Mayo colleagues, Dr. Yusuf Malouf, that heart transplantation is something which we need to consider, I think that he was initially shocked but came to terms with it in a very concrete way and came here prepared and ready to go forward with whatever needed to be done to get him there.
Once we came here, once we were accepted and we knew we were in and it was a waiting thing just for the heart, we felt a lot more comfortable, at least knowing that there was a light at the end of the tunnel.
I don't think there's any that you can match in the world. I mean, I had been treated in many hospitals around the world. The difference in the Mayo, it's the communication between departments and people. The doctors communicate. So I would attend an appointment and they have all my records in front of them. The blood test is just totally different. The quality of the service they give to a person is direct attention. You feel like you're getting the full attention. You're not just meeting with a doctor who just wants to finish and tell you to go home. We had 6, 7 doctors I met up with on different occasions, and they all sat and spoke to me and listened to everything I had to say before we went through the testing. I mean, I'll say we because my wife was with me throughout all this, and it was tough.
He recovered in fantastic time, and it happened, I think it was the 16th of December that they did the operation, and he was home for Christmas. And my kids were there, and it was amazing. It was amazing to have him home for Christmas. It's a relief. It's suddenly like that weight has been taken off all our shoulders. He will be around to see their children, and he'll be part of their lives. It's amazing. It's wonderful.
Had it not been for the Mayo, I'll not be around. But I live normal, play squash, swim, my kids. So as soon as I had the new heart, I was at the hospital within weeks, and I was walking around and I tested myself to see how far, how long, and it was just, I have a new heart. And when I asked, can I do sports, they said, just do what you want. I did. 3 years after that, I actually broke my collarbone playing touch rugby. So the heart is good. I mean, as long as my body copes with what my brain tells me, the heart just functions normal. I feel, in fact, if anything, and my wife will tell you that, I feel younger than my age. I feel much fitter. Home away from home. We always say that as soon as we land in Minneapolis. We rent the car, we take that drive down. I love the place. Through all its seasons, every part of it.
It was just a miracle, really.